Hi, so this video is meant to be a very fast explanation of Avaricium. If you want a more slower, easier to learn explanation, then you could see, my YouTube playlist, uh, you know, on this. So we have neutral pieces right here, and player-specific pieces. So player-specific pieces means that they're owned by a specific player. So for example, the blue player, red player, green player, and so on. So, counting these all as, different copies of the same types of piece, there's 11 different kinds of pieces. Farms, towns, mercenaries, neutral guards, rebels, barracks, walls, roads, nobility, armies, and player-specific guards. So again, player-specific pieces are owned by a particular player. Neutral pieces are not owned by any player and interact with all players equally. Avaricium could be played with anywhere from 2 to 6 players. This is the starting position for 2 players on size 6 board. So size 6 means you see there's 6 hexagons on every side. So you could play Avaricium on anywhere from a size 4 board to a size 10 board. There might be additional restrictions depending on how many players you play with. Typically, games go by with both players creating more pieces throughout the game. And games end when a player loses, specifically when they can't change the board during their turn. Usually this means because all of their player-specific pieces are either destroyed or frozen. I should say that when a player loses, all of their pieces remain on the board, and the other players keep taking turns until all but one player has lost the game. And, at which point the remaining single player is declared the winner of the game. In Avaricium, every turn you get a certain amount of actions. This could be divided into your base actions plus your extra actions gained from farms. In a 2-player game, with the exception of the first turn, you always have 4 base actions. In a more than 2-player game, with the exception of the first turn, you have 3 base actions. During the first turn, sometimes some players get more base actions than others, in order to balance, the advantage of going first. As mentioned, you also get bonus actions from farms. So this is specifically from having farms next to your nobility. For example, an army beside a farm doesn't do anything. The rule is that for every 2 farms that are beside at least one of your nobility, you get one bonus action. So this is calculated at the start of your turn. So if you happen to be beside more or less farms during your turn, it doesn't matter because you count the amount of farms at the start of your turn and not at any other time. So as I said, you get 1 bonus action for every 2 farms. The amount of total actions per turn is also limited by the board size. This is a size 6 board, which means that you cannot have more than 6 actions per turn, regardless of how many farms are beside you. The blue player's nobilities are beside 3 farms, hence blue gets 1 bonus action because that 3rd farm does not count for anything, since for every 2 actions for every 2 farms you only get 1 action. This farm is beside both the green player and the blue player, and that's okay. The red player is beside 2 farms, and this is just 2. This 1 farm is not counted twice, even though it's beside 2 red nobility. So red gets 1 bonus action. And then, and I should say that blue in total has 4 actions per turn, since they have 3 base actions, assuming this is not the first turn, plus 1 bonus action from the farms. Red has 3 base actions, and then again also 1 bonus action from the farms. Green, on the other hand, is beside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 farms. In some circumstances, this would mean that green gets 4 bonus actions. But since green has 3 base actions already, 3 plus 4 would be above 6, which is the board size. Hence, green would get 6 actions per turn. Nobilities are the most important piece in Avaricium. They have the role of using neutral pieces, or at least they have the most interactions with all the neutral pieces. So there are 3 different kinds of ranges that nobilities have that are dictated by neutral pieces. Towns dictate the build range of a nobility. Mercenaries dictate the attacking range of a nobility. And barracks dictate the unit creation range of a nobility. From this, because there are 3 towns beside this nobility, we could say that the build range of this nobility is 3. We could say that the attacking range of this nobility is 2, and that the unit creation range of this nobility is 4. 2 important things could be noted about this nobility above. One is that it has a lot of different kinds of ranges: an attacking range, a unit creation range, and a build range. A build range of 1, a unit creation range of 2, and actually an attack range of only 2. The other thing that we should note is that, of course, these 2 mercenaries are not beside this nobility, hence don't count for the attack range of this nobility. All player-specific pieces could use their actions to move. You could move. You could use, say, X actions to move X tiles away. So, for example, a nobility could move from here to here, 4 tiles away, with 4 actions. Most pieces don't influence how far pieces on either side of them are apart from one another. Uh, these two nobility are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps away from one another. So if one of them was actually an empty space, it would take 5 actions to get here. These are the only 2 pieces that influence distance in space: walls and roads. Walls influence the walking distance, the movement distance between 2 points. They effectively block your movement. When counting how long it takes to get from here to here, you can't, in some sense, step over the wall. You can't jump over the wall. To get from here to here, it would take this nobility 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions. Walls are the only piece that do this. So if there are, for example, towns here, it still takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actions for this nobility to move to this X. Walls only influence the movement distance. So since the build range of this nobility is 4, this X is within the build range of this nobility. Again, so when counting how far this nobility can build, I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is within the build range. The most complicated, but also the most interesting piece in Avaricium are roads. Everything a road does could be summarized as this. If 2 tiles are both adjacent to the road, if they're both 1 step away from the road, then for absolutely all purposes, they're effectively 1 step away from each other. An implication of this is that any 2 tiles 1 step away from a road cluster are effectively 1 step away from each other. The build range of this nobility is 3, since it's 1 step away or beside 3 towns. It's 1 step away from here, 2 steps away from here, 3 steps away from here. 1 step away from here, 2 steps away from here. 1 step away from here, 2 steps away from here. This, of course, again, applies for everything. So, for ranges like build range, attacking range, and unit creation range, as well as for movement. So, for example, this nobility could get here in 3 actions. To build something means to place a piece on the board. So and you could do so within your build range. And you spend one action to do so, regardless of how far the piece is away from you, as long as it is within your build range. The pieces that the blue player could build are over here. So this includes all neutral pieces plus their own color of nobility. Using a build range, they cannot build armies or player-specific guards. They cannot build any player-specific pieces that are not their own color. So, for example, using one action, I could build a nobility right here because I'm 1, 2, 3 away, and I have 3 build range. Then I could use another action to, say, build a town. Of course, I cannot build anything unless I have at least one town beside me. One exception to the cost of building things are walls. Walls are cheaper to build. Walls cost only one action to build. Sorry, only one half of an action to build instead of one action. So, for example, I could build a wall that costs half an action. Could build an ability. I used up an action and a half, and then I built another wall. I used up 2 actions. Since we were talking about half actions, it should be noted that a single farm beside you does not give you a bonus half action. If there's an odd amount of farms beside your nobilities, you round down. A unit creation range allows an ability to create armies and player-specific guards. This works very similarly to build range. Of course, unit range and build range are separate. So you can't create units, you can't create armies or player-specific guards using towns, and you can't build other things using barracks. This, in some sense, is the tech tree for Avaricium. You start off with a town and a nobility. You could build all this, including barracks, which allows your nobility to create player-specific guards and armies. I should also mention, of course, that you can only create player-specific guards and armies of your own color. Rebels freeze all player-specific pieces that are one step away from them. So this includes both armies and nobility, and of course player-specific guards, and freezes any color of piece. If a piece is frozen, it means they cannot spend actions, so they cannot build, create units. We will see that nobility cannot also, attack anything using its attacking range. And it cannot move. However, a nobility beside farms still collects bonus actions from the farms. A player-specific piece beside a neutral guard cannot be frozen. So if there's a rebel here, and a neutral guard, this piece is not frozen. You're okay. Neutral guards also prevent pieces from being destroyed. We didn't yet talk about how pieces are destroyed, but it should be noted that this is the other effect of neutral guards, and they prevent all pieces from being destroyed one step away from them. So all colors of player-specific piece, right? All types of player-specific pieces, and really all types of pieces, including neutral pieces as well. It prevents all of them from being destroyed, but not including itself. Two neutral guards prevent each other from being destroyed. As mentioned, mercenaries give nobilities an attacking range. So this nobility has an attacking range of 3. Now, what does that mean? You could, using this range, you could either destroy a piece within your range, or you can, we say, force move it. So what does this mean? Okay, so destroying, so you could, destroy this piece for one action, remove it from the board, right? You could destroy neutral pieces, player-specific pieces, even player-specific pieces of your own color. Yes, even roads. Walls are an exception. Walls cannot be destroyed, ever. To force move a piece, you must you spend an action to move it move it one step in any direction. So of course, the piece that you're targeting must be within your attacking range, but you could force move it in any direction, even if it's outside of your attacking range. You could only spend one action at a time doing this. So you can't make a piece, you can't spend 2 actions to make a piece hop over here, right? It has to kind of slide around. So again, you could target neutral pieces, player-specific pieces of another color or of your own color. You could target your own frozen pieces, so hence moving them even though they're frozen, using this piece. You could force move roads, which becomes one of the most interesting mechanics in the game. You could force move things through roads or through road networks, which is, again, one of the most interesting and complicated aspects of the game. You cannot move walls for any reason. In fact, I could mention now that walls, once built in a place, cannot be moved, cannot be destroyed by anything. Neutral guards don't prevent things from being moved, but they prevent things from being destroyed. So if I wanted to destroy both these neutral guards, I might want to move them apart and then destroy them each individually, hence taking 3 actions. Here I could either move the neutral guard away and destroy this nobility, or I could simply destroy the neutral guard since it itself is not being guarded. Any piece with no empty tiles 1 step away from itself can be destroyed even if it is guarded. Okay, this is an important exception to the rule. You know, this could be destroyed as well. If you want, you could think of this rule as, you know, you trying to force move this nobility, but since there's no places that you could force move it to, it gets destroyed. I should probably mention that walls still can't be destroyed even if they're surrounded. This nobility can't be destroyed in 1 action since it could be force moved over here. It is technically beside or 1 step away adjacent from both of these tiles. Armies can move, of course, like nobilities can, but they could also destroy things by hopping on them. So for example, like this. You know, they could of course still, you know, traverse obstacles without destroying them. You could destroy pieces of your own color. In addition to this mechanic, any player-specific piece that is not the color of the army, that's beside the army, you know, becomes frozen. So they act like rebels that only target pieces that are not your color. So for example, here, this nobility is frozen. These 2 armies are freezing each other. Neither of them could get away, and neither of them could destroy each other. So here, if we approach 1 step at a time, you know, takes us 2 actions to get here, and we get frozen. But we could also, you know, hop all the way over here, for example, destroying this piece and freezing the other 2. Of course, we'd still be frozen ourselves. Neutral guards prevent armies from destroying. Also, of course, still prevent armies from freezing things. In addition to destroying things, armies could also force move things, similar to how an ability equipped with mercenaries could force move things. So how this works is, suppose I wanted to land onto this town and force move it. What I would do is I would, using one action, move the town to any of these 6 directions, and then put the army there. Of course, it costs me 3 actions to move there. If I'm beside the town, I can't switch spots with it like this. I could, of course, force move any kind of piece except for walls, which, by the way, also can't be destroyed by armies. I could force move my own pieces. This is a particularly good application of force moving. So I could hop over here, force move this army over here, and freeze both of these armies. Similar to mercenaries, armies, can destroy a piece that's surrounded, even if it's guarded. Right? Can destroy a piece that has no empty spaces 1 step away from itself. So like this. Sometimes if there is a tile missing, we could do something like this. Move over here first, right? And then, because they can't switch spots, this also destroys the mercenary. The nobility. It should be, of course, noted that you could force move roads. It's particularly interesting force moving roads with armies. For example, we could target this road, move it over here, and move the army here in 1 action. Neutral guards are guards that help you, basically. And, are also player-specific pieces, hence can move, similar to, let's say, nobilities. But, of course, can't destroy things like armies can. During other people's turns, neutral guards prevent adjacent pieces from being destroyed. So, can't be destroyed, can't be destroyed. They even could protect player-specific pieces that aren't yours from being destroyed. So protecting one player from another, or even protecting a player from themselves if they wanted to have a piece destroy another one. Of course, during your own turn, they don't protect anything from being destroyed by your own armies or mercenaries. During your turn, they can unfreeze your player-specific pieces. They, of course, will never unfreeze, pieces are player-specific pieces that aren't yours. Or rather, you could say they'll never unfreeze anything during when it's not your own turn. In Avaricium, there's something called the before and after rule that's there to resolve edge cases. What it says is that if you target a specific tile for the purposes of building there, for the purposes of force moving a piece off of it, or for the purposes of destroying a piece that's on it, you have to be able to target the tile both before and after you do that, either building, force moving, or destroying. So this is the. So what are the implications for building? Basically, the nobility that's building, or I guess, of all the nobilities that could potentially be building a specific let's say piece. So generally this is either a rebel or a road. So if I'm building a rebel, I can't build it here because after I place the rebel, it's not possible for me to build on that spot anymore because both of these pieces are frozen. I can't build it there because this nobility is frozen and this one can't reach there. I could build it there because I could still reach the spot after it's built. So rebels are one kind of example when building can't be done because of the before and after rule. Another one is roads, right? I can't build the road there because afterwards I can't target that spot using that build range, right? Like that. Because I'd be frozen because of the rebel being, of course, freezing me because it's adjacent to me. So for destroying pieces, right? Let's talk about freezing first. Okay. So if I have a neutral guard and a rebel beside me, then I can't destroy this, right? Because I can no longer target that piece after I'm destroyed. Right? Sometimes this has to do with roads. In this case, I can't actually really destroy this road anyways because it's being guarded. I suppose I could say I can't force move it either. Might as well talk about force moving too. I can't force move here because I can no longer, because it makes me frozen, right? And since we're talking about force moving, can't force move over here because it would make me frozen. Can't force move this road over here because it would make me frozen. Similar things with the opponent's armies, of course. Can't force them towards me, force move them towards me. What am I allowed to destroy over here? I could actually destroy one of these, right? In some sense, you could think of it as using the other one and this nobility to destroy it. In another sense, once it's gone, I could still target this space. I can't destroy this one with itself because I have no mercenaries to give me attack range to destroy this. And of course, I can't destroy myself because I need an ability to actually destroy anything like this. I could force move this mercenary around myself. I could force move it away from myself because I'm in some sense using this one. but I cannot. If I have one, I could force move it around myself, but I can't do this. Not allowed. Right? If there's only one of them. So this is a tiny bit more complicated with armies. So because armies do two things, uh, whenever they force move or attack. First they force move or attack, and then they take the piece's place. So we only care about whether or not our army could target the place after it either force moves or attacks, and not after it actually goes there. Because as you've noticed before, it's perfectly okay for an army to end up frozen, right? At the end of the set of actions used up. Um, so, for example, here I could not destroy this because I would first, make it disappear, and then try to move there. All in one action, of course, but still in that sequence, right? So I can't do that. But if I was over here, I could destroy it, right? There's other interesting consequences. So, for example, with force moving, I can force move this over here, but I can't force move it towards myself because I do the moving first, and then I try to get there. I want to get back to talking about winning and losing conditions. I want to reiterate again that player loses as soon as they can't change the board during their turn, or rather that they don't. So in fact, they have to change the board during their turn, otherwise they lose. Here we can see that red will lose because, if it's red's turn, right? Because you can't, because here, red can't move to the other side of this, can't build to the other side because red only has one build range and can only build right here. And this army is frozen. Okay. In this case, since it's a two-player game since it's a two-player game and neither player has bonus actions, each player has 4 actions, right? So the best that they could do, let's say it's blue's turn, is go over here and freeze, the other army, and hence freezing themselves. Neither player could make could do anything, but since it's red's turn first after this was done, red loses and then hence blue wins right away because there are no other players remaining. Of course, if there were other players remaining, this would be not a good move for blue. A 2-player game must be played at least on a size 4 board. Within a 2-player game, the player that goes first only has 2 base actions on the first turn, and the second player has 4. Afterwards, both players have 4 base actions per turn. A 3-player game must be played at least on a size 3 board. The first player gets only 1 base action on their first turn. The second player gets 2 base actions on their first turn, and the third player gets 3 base actions on their first turn. After the first turn, every single player gets 3 base actions per turn. In a 4-player game, the third player and the fourth player get a bonus nobility. The nobility is 2 spaces away from the original nobility towards the center, going towards the center. 2 spaces away from the original nobility going towards the center. A player 4 game must be played at least on a size 6 board. On the first turn, the first player gets only 1 base action. The second player gets 2 base actions. The third player gets 2 base actions, and the fourth player gets 3 base actions. After the first turn, every player gets it gets 3 base actions per turn. In a 5-player game, we have that the first player only gets 1 action, 1 base action on the first turn. The second player gets 2 base actions on the first turn. The third player gets 3 base actions on the first turn. And same with the fourth and the fifth player. They each get 3 base actions on the first turn. It should be noted that a 5-player game must be played on at least a size 7 board. A 6-player game must be played on a size 7 board as well. 1 second. And then the first player gets 1 base action on their first turn. The second player gets also 1 base action on their first turn. The third player gets 2 base actions on their first turn. The fourth player gets 2 base actions on their first turn. The fifth player gets 3 base actions on their first turn, and the sixth player gets 3 base actions on their first turn. And of course, every following turn, everyone gets 3 base actions. Player 2, 4, and 6 also get a second nobility. This nobility must be placed 2 away from their original nobility and going towards the center, like this. I hope you found this explanation of the rules of Avaricium helpful. Thanks for watching.